Hey everybody, Jason Ellis here, originally from Australia. I moved here to be a professional skateboarder when I was 17, and now I'm going back to Australia to do comedy. Brisbane, or Brisbane, if you're American, September 10th, 11th, September 11th, I'm going to be in Sydney. September 12th, in Melbourne. If you're American, Melbourne. But if you're Australian, oh mate, Melbourne. And then on the 14th, Perth, mate. I met the guy that got eaten by a 16-foot great white there. Get your tickets, Outback Inns. That's not a word. Australians, thejasonellis.com. I'm coming home.
Where did Quaaludes go?
Yeah, your parents aren't going to talk to you about Janko. Got to learn about it on the streets.
You haven't been on the streets if you haven't talked on some jankum.
Totally moving, doing it, moving. Out there we get back home. I've got the heart and desire, my mother on fire, ready to take us to the top. Welcome to the show. Did you know that your love is on?
Welcome to the show, piss face. All right, rock and roll. It's not dead. It just took a power nap. You know what, everybody? If you're just tuning in, which is highly likely because it just started, shut up. Good boy. Today we have a special guest who lives in Texas, where he lives in the greatest state of America, where woke goes to die. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Catherwood is
Howdy. And I'm such a red pill guy, it fits perfect.
I love my favorite place in Austin is the lake.
Good thing I live on the lake.
You know what?
And you've come to visit so many times.
They've got great. That was okay. You were never like, hey, you're there, come see me.
For two things at play here. One, I never know you're there till you're there, and I get some Instagram posts. I'm like, oh shit. Secondly,
that's everybody that comes to my show. Oh, sorry, everybody that doesn't come to my show the day after I do the show.
Secondly, every time, at least from what I could see, every time you've been in the Austin area, you've been with Tony, and I figure you're super busy. And thirdly, I absolutely have said the word, you're always welcome at the farm.
I know.
I would love for you to come see the animals.
You know what I don't like, dude, is every time I go anywhere, it's for, like, I get on a flight, I get there, I have a shower, I do the show, I go to bed, and I wake up really early and I get on a plane.
Yeah, no,
they don't, like, I especially now that I'm sober, like, I like even jank cities where I like walk around and see things where I'm like, well, that's not normal. Like that's not what I'm used to. And thanks to my manager, Brianna, like always like finds places. Like I go meet people's horses and stuff. Like I think honestly, like this, like if I was in Austin again, it would be more likely that I could come see you. Cause I think at the start, it was more of a, I hide. Because I'm sober. I don't want to be around people. You're going to drink and all that stuff. And these days, it's not, I'm happy for everybody that drinks and smokes weed. That's cool. I think at first it was, you would understand. At first, I had not done enough work to feel content, not high. Like now I'm like, people are like, hey, man, you coming out? And I'm like, well, what for? And it's like to party. And I'm like, well, no. But if you want to go to dinner, I like food,
Also, I don't know if you can relate to this, but for me, there was a lot that was just difficult. It was difficult to adjust to life being sober because I associated anything fun with getting high and drunk. But also, there was a big chunk of it that was I felt very guilty. I felt like I was a burden to all my young, active friends because they were all drinking and partying and they want to go meet chicks. And I was like, am I going to add to this situation? Probably not. I'm going to be a bored kind of nebbish.
Yeah, that's the other thing, dude.
You mean in LA, you're a driver.
That's true.
Everybody needs one of you.
That absolutely pushed my radio career up a notch because I was
designated.
I was constantly the only sober guy for like 100-mile radius. And there's a handful of times, a good half a dozen times where I'd get a call at 10:45 in the evening and I have to be on the air at 5 a.m. and they're like, "Can you interview Brendan Flowers right now in Woodland Hills? So and so is supposed to do it. They're getting dragged out of a bar. Can you?" And I go, "Yeah." And then I show up, and whether the level of quality is up to you, but the fact that I was there and that absolutely opened doors for me in my career for sure.
Because they can count on you.
It cuts both ways, you know. Because I also knew a guy who was up for bumps, and just sometimes there's 10 people at the bar, but only 3 of them are the bumps crowd, and one of them might be like the big afternoon guy.
Yeah.
And if you're one of the bumps guys, well, now all of a sudden you got a lot. You're talking to that guy a lot.
Yeah. And hopefully that's a good thing though. Sometimes you're talking to bumps guy a lot, and people realize even in that inebriated haze, they're like, "Wow, this guy sucks."
Right. I love everything right now, and yet I hate this person.
The Jews are the problem, right? Right? Who's
Rumblebean just woke up from you saying that. It's okay. He was joking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, honey.
Rumblebean is a
Jewish cat.
I hear that.
Yeah, he gets triggered by that. Also, I just realized you're a sex addict, right?
I wouldn't say that.
You never were?
No, I don't think so. I was a girl addict. Where
Is that not the same thing?
No, because I know sex addicts, and when they discuss their behavior, I go, that's never happened. I've never had a work obligation or something important to me or a family thing, and I've been like, yeah, but I could potentially have sex with this. I never did.
You could be a functional alcoholic. Why could you not be a functional sex addict?
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, because, dude,
that's fair. That's fair.
I am a sex addict, and I never didn't show up to work to burn.
Well, I mean, I have a friend, and he's not just a guy I know through like the recovery community. He's my friend. He's a close guy to me, and he did gay stuff, and he's like super straight. He's like, I just couldn't. It got boring.
That's me.
Like I had to keep going, and I've never been that guy. I'm about as chill as you can get with gay stuff for a straight guy. But and Jason and I've talked about this. I know I'm not, because if anyone is, I've been at like loft parties downtown, gay loft party, like meth parties. Dudes are literally banging each other in front of me, and I'm like, all right, this is interesting. And I've never once even. I also
not even a half chub.
No, and also the at the height of my addiction, like my lowest of lows, I was living in New York with this guy. His name was Andy. He was at the time, I was 21. He was like in his 60s, maybe late 50s, and he was this gay dude. And I crashed at his place for like a month, and he just pumped me full of drugs. Never once, ever, not one, not even like, you know, I'd be happy to throw you an 8-ball if you blow me, or like there was nothing. And so I mean, I would have assumed that a guy who was essentially keeping me alive, I would have been like, if somewhere in the back of the annals of my mind, like, you want me to cup your balls or something? You know, and I'd never happened. And I've done it with all forms of woman.
Wish I could say the same.
I don't agree. Like, I mean, I'm sure you have your personal experience, but I think that all of those things, and I hate to get too hippy dippy, but all of those things for guys like you and me, Jason, who have really steered far away from who we are as a person authentically, like we've had that behavior for long periods of time. All of it happened for a reason, and it definitely will lead to something being better for us once we made that decision to commit to.
Yeah. I think I still have a little bit of a habit, like my accent, you know, like I don't live in Australia, but I have this weird sort of quick to say something negative about myself thing, where these days, like, I'm cool with me. I like me. Mm-hmm. I've forgiven myself. I still have to reassure myself that I've forgiven myself daily because of my old habit of going, it's probably your fault. You're probably, because you're a piece of shit. I'm like, don't go. That voice is not real. Like, you're a good guy. People can count on you. You're a good person. And you're right, because when it comes to that stuff, I have a better understanding, first of all, of what it's like to be a gay person. And I will never, like, I'm always going to have their back, to a certain extent. Like, if you're going to bitch about certain things, I'm going to be like, hey, you're making the rest of your guys look bad. Like, calm down sometimes. Goes both ways. Some people, you're being a man's man. Sometimes man's man says stuff, especially on social media these days, where it's like, being a man is when you don't fucking cross your leg. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? You don't eat soup. I'm like, whoa, dude. Like, first of all, I will have 2 soups for lunch. That's a joke that somebody else did, Steve. But anyway, and I will like beat you to death. All you manly men out there that think you're a manly man, like, this got nothing to do with your shoes you wear, the way you talk. That doesn't make you more of a man. Like, that's this thing these days. I think I was telling my girlfriend about it, where a man is a strong man, like lifting weights man, a man that can defend himself man. I'm like, you know what a real man is? A real man is a man you can count on that will take care of his friends and family.
Accountability.
I think that's a real man. Like,
well, here's a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is there any difference between being a real man and just a real person?
I do think so. I think that's a very
you're saying
compelling point.
A human.
Yeah.
Somebody you can count on, dependable, says what they means what they says, is dedicated to taking care of their loved ones before themselves, wants to leave the world a better place than the one they found. Is that a man thing or is that a human being thing? Is there anything about it that is an actual masculine thing? Is there an actual female thing that a real woman does?
well, I think it's a different question here, because we're talking about men right now.
Yeah.
And yes, a real person, like a woman that takes care of their family first, is a real person. We're talking about men, where this argument to the youth, where being a real man is about being strong and being able to defend yourself. I've seen little memes where it's like, predators don't prey on people where they see the dad is a strong man. So be a strong man and your daughter will be safe. And it's like, okay, dude, calm down. But like, if there is some sort of problem and you're around and you're a big guy who can defend your family, then yeah, that is handy. Great.
Sure.
But I think when it's like being a man, where there's this, people split it where you have to be strong and you have to be mean, kind of.
That's a weird thing.
And I'm like, I don't, like, sometimes being a protector, like, I don't think you really have to be that strong. I think, like, not to be a coward, and I think there's certain versions of cowardness where, if there's an altercation and you back down because it's not worth it. Like, I was teaching some self-defense video the other day where I was like, the number one thing you should know about being in a street fight is to not do it. Like, if someone says some stuff to you, back down. It's not, and it's like, oh, you're not being a man. I'm like, no, you're being a smart man, because I'm bigger. Like, I punch you, I'll wreck you. And then what happens? Because I've actually done that. It's bad.
Well,
you're hurt.
Here's the
I go to
upside.
hospital, police come, like, it's not, I could have gone, you're right, man, I am a bit of a pussy.
Here's the upside. A broken hand and or a night in jail. Both sound awesome, right? Like, that's what's happening here. You can look at it from the romantic comedy point of view, like, and you say, no, I mean, sure. If someone is literally putting someone else's life in danger, or even their well-being in danger, and you intervene, and that happens to end in a fight, that's a different story.
That was when you say that, that's the bit that I was going to go to.
Yeah,
like,
there's
if
a
you're not a
difference.
tough person and somebody's hurting somebody else, and you're not a big guy but you're a guy, and you insert yourself into it and do your best to break it up, even though you might get hurt, that's a man.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I don't think because I have more of a chance of winning the fight, it doesn't, like, if there's a group of people beating up on a woman or a small man or somebody innocent that is not the protagonist. Yeah, protagonist, great. And you jump in, so you get beat up. As a man.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, the people that I see where you pull your phone out and film it.
Yeah.
You're not a man. And also, if you're a lady, you're not really a great person. Get in there.
Okay, can I play devil?
Grab an ankle like that. What's that one guy for the Knicks?
Jeff Van Gundy.
Yeah.
Van Gundy's kind of sick.
Remember that?
He's
when
a dick, but he's kind of sick.
Who was it?
It was Alonzo Mourning.
yeah.
I was in a bar. in
Who's a
college
brick shithouse, by
watching
the
that.
way.
He was 2 7-footers throwing bones, and he grabbed an ankle.
I was watching it live, and I saw the fight happening, and I said, how did somebody end up with an equipment bag around their legs?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, that's not an equipment bag. That's Jeff Van Gundy.
And
Which-
you-
which holding
was-
on for dear life.
That's a man.
That's a man. Okay. A lot of times when people talk about I would protect my house if somebody, came inside my family, I understand that. But the way that they talk about it, they're fucking spoiling for it. They want it to happen so bad. Okay.
They
so
also, I don't believe that they're actually spoiling for it, Michael. I think that's a thing that like you project your toughness.
yeah. Okay.
You don't want to have an altercation.
Okay. So here's what I'm wondering. If you really are like, this is very serious. If I see injustice going on in the world, somebody's picking a fight or is messing with a lady or slaps their chick or something, then why don't those guys just carry around tasers? Because if that happened, you can't lose that fight. That guy's fucking around. That guy's a fucking danger, a threat. Fucking tase that guy.
I hate
And then when the police come,
I'm going to agree with Mike.
Yeah.
I,
Go ahead.
I hate to poo-poo that argument because you're under
It's not enough.
almost all circumstances. You're right, but I know I've seen it. Like for instance, like Tim Kennedy, I've watched him laugh while people tase him.
Yeah, I've been tased
Okay,
drunk.
and there's a handful of people like a drunk or coked out Jason.
Yeah.
I'll bet you dollars to donuts you're not tasing him to the ground.
okay. Let me counter your counter.
Okay.
If I can't tase this Tim Kennedy ass guy,
You better
why
run.
the fuck am I gonna fight him?
You better run. Yeah. No.
Why am I fighting a guy I can't tase? But I'm saying a guy who's like, don't worry, if anything goes down, I got my taser on me. That guy's like a bitch, even though that's actually a more effective. Nobody's nobody's gonna fall unconscious and die. And yeah, but that's like nobody's talking about that. And my point is because people are mixing up the notion of being responsible with bravado.
Well, we were talking about drug addiction and making parts of our lives where we made bad mistakes and weren't acting as our authentic self. There is a small percentage of it that has benefit. This is one. I'm not that guy. You would have to. There's a handful of circumstances where I've gotten in altercations in real life. Most of them, I got the shit kicked out of me. The others were extreme circumstances where someone, I remember my friend was, he was not my friend. A friend of my friend was trying to force feed a dog chocolate because he heard that it could kill them. And I just punched him and kicked him, beat the shit out of him. There was like these, but what I will say is like, I think the majority
That's a man.
Especially the majority, but he was really a spineless, goofy little shithead.
You're
It wasn't
still a
like-
man.
He had no chance.
You're still a man. That still counts
you.
as a man.
I think I did tell you about the guy, the giant black dude in Oakland who was my friend's roommate, and I walked in on him accidentally making out with the chick, and he's like, "We're gonna go fight," and I was like, "Dude, we've hung out together a bunch." Like,
Yeah,
what?
that was a
He's
drastic
like, "No, we're going to the parking lot, man to man. You can't come in and disrespect me." Like
Well, it's not man
I
to
think I
man,
told
though.
you guys that story. Maybe.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Anyway, but I'm sorry, I'm veering from my point. The one upside that I had is that a lot of guys, especially now with social media and a lot of young men, they don't know what they're saying. Meaning, I'm not saying that they're not educated. I'm saying they've never seen that shit up close. They've never experienced having their face broken. They've never seen someone get dragged to the emergency room by paramedics. Like the guy who is constantly like, yeah, and if anybody's talking, I was like, dude, I don't know if you know what you're in for. Like, violence is not something we should be even passively thinking is something you want to get involved in. It's fucking, when shit goes south like that, real life, not the movie, not Jason Statham movies.
Yeah.
Having a grown man physically fight, or if weapons get involved, like you don't know what you, and having had both as a observer and then as unfortunately with situations with myself, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying I'm George St. Pierre. What I'm saying is I've experienced it. I don't want anything to do with that. It would have to be, you would have to be threatening my wife and daughter for me to even contemplate, like, we're going to go to blows now. You know, like it's crazy.
That sounds like Team Taser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more of a biter.
There you go.
Like, I think that, because I have a joke about it. Like, because, we covered remember the chimp that the family took care of, and then they were too old to take care of him. And then they used to come every year to give him a cake at a sanctuary.
Yep.
and then one year he ate the dude's hands, feet, and genitals.
Yeah, chimps get mean when they get
And
old.
what people don't realize is your mouth, like you don't want to bite a person's fingers off because it's gross, but you have the power in your jaw to like bite people's fingers off. If
Nose and stuff. Yeah.
you can, if you commit to it. And like, I don't want to fight anybody in the gym. I do, but on the street, I don't want to fight anybody. But if you're in that situation where somebody is threatening my children or my wife, if I had one, I would bite their fingers off and pull their eyes out.
Okay, I think that's a good example to jump off when we're
Thank
talking
you,
about
Michael.
the difference between a good man and a good woman. It's like a lot of being conscientious.
Birthing hips.
Being conscientious, birthing hip, clitoris, birthing hips and stuff. But no, conscientiousness about the world at whole, giving back to people who are less fortunate. I think that that's a good person thing. There's a small percentage of where, in my opinion, a good man, should sacrifice everything he has for the sake of others. I don't necessarily think that's always a good idea for women. That's like to get the women and children first off the sinking ship or the burning building. I think that there's something to that in a more kind of clear way. You know?
But if you're a diesel chick, then you need to step in. You disagree?
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
I'm if Valentina Shevchenko is at a bar and someone's messing with like a really scrawny dude, like do the roles get reversed just because it's such an extreme circumstance? Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean,
and as a tiny little weak dude who has no idea what he's doing and is totally uncoordinated and was the last kid picked for gym class and that was the last time he touched a ball, does that guy have a responsibility to sacrifice his safety on principle?
Yes.
if he's the parent, yeah.
No,
He's got to Van Gundy it.
No. But a parent.
If you grab an ankle and wait for somebody else to step in, it's your duty.
A parent, of course he does.
You're saying a bystander.
What about when you're at the grocery store and the crazy guy has come in and he's yelling at some lady? Does that guy have a responsibility to go over and get his ass kicked by the crazy homeless guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I do. I think that literally is like the dividing line, and it sounds so dumb. It's
It's not
the
fair.
way I think about
it's ugly.
it.
I'm hoping for the rest of the world to be similar to that man, where you see a man that steps in to protect a woman who's not very good at defending himself, and the other man's beating his ass. Then other men that are of his size all step in. You know, that's the thing when I see these videos, so many of them where everyone goes, "Oh, hey, you should stop doing that," while you're filming. No. Put your phone down. Everybody go over there and grab him. Take a punch to the face. That's why, it's not that bad. You know, like if it was like 8 dudes on one big dude, maybe he cracks you a couple times. I don't know, man. I feel weird saying this, but like getting punched in the head, it's not that bad.
Depends on who's doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. But like if it's a bunch of people around, you're not going to get that clean of a shot.
That's true.
You know, like look, if it's Rampage Jackson, okay. Everybody's going to get hurt, you know, because
Everyone hurts.
everybody he touches is going to be, even if he skims you,
I think Michael Stipe wrote that song about Rampage. Like, everybody hurts.
it's going to be bad. But it's also like the bad guy would feel the room disagreeing with him in a way where he might lean to like want to run and get out.
But when you
Or
brought
at
up
least stop.
you brought up the scrawny guy,
could be wrong.
knowing he's going to get his. To me, like that is the real, because I do think that, especially with like this movement of like the alpha male thing, I get very upset about that. As someone who loves pumping iron and training in martial arts and whatnot,
You check a lot of the boxes.
I'm
for an alpha male.
I'm
Right.
almost cartoonishly macho in many ways. I was telling a story the other day to this female who didn't understand. I said, I don't see guys who are shredded or guys who are black belts and go like, fuck that guy. The guy I get very, I would say almost not insecure, but I admire the man who I see dudes at the beach whose bodies look like shit and they tear their shirt off and they walk around not concerned about a thing, because I go like, I can't do that. I'm obsessive because I'm so insecure about my appearance. I had to have abs before I could even contemplate doing the fact that you do, like when I see like Borat or like Sacha Baron Cohen stuff where he'll
Yeah.
by no means is he has a gross butt, but he's not like a fitness model,
Right.
and he'll just go around in a mankini. And I was like, that's the shit.
Oh, you got to
right
come
there.
hang out with me in the LA Fitness locker room.
And so do I
House of Human Horrors?
do I translate that over to translate that over into like self-defense? I don't necessarily admire the guy in the who's Jason Statham movie character who's gonna fuck everybody up anyway, and he steps up. It's like, okay, well, obviously you want to.
You kind of be waiting for
It's the '80s coming of age movie guy, the nerd with the glasses who draws a line. He's like, I know I'm gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
but this can't stand. I can't stand for
Dude,
this.
if every man was like that, there'd be less dickheads doing stuff like that.
Honestly, that's a public service campaign that needs to happen. Like they used to do, back in the 80s on TV. Because like I always think about the on September 11th, right? The guys on the plane who kind of like eyeballed one another, like we're all
Let's roll.
Let's roll, exactly. Because that's kind of what needs. I never would have thought about this, but for having spent so much time with you, when I'm at Ralph's and the crazy guy is mouthing off to somebody, and I'm like, okay, nobody else is going to do anything. If this goes to that next level, I'm going to have to get my ass kicked by and get bit and get some hepatitis shots because some crazy homeless guy. If it was, okay, somebody's going to fucking film this. I need evidence for the police. Ladies, film to your heart's content.
Yeah.
Dudes, fucking look around, eyeball each other.
Yeah.
Because if three of us move in, none of us probably needs to do anything.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like
that message
three
needs to be out
average
there.
dudes
Three
against
average
one
dudes.
guy that can fight. And they're biting. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, even
Like me and
look,
the cashier guy at Ralph's. I know that guy. We
Dude,
talk basketball.
I swear.
We can handle it.
You can at least handle it
Vanderlei.
long enough for the authorities to step in.
Right.
No, peak Vanderlei. Like let's think of like the most dangerous street situation, like peak Vitor, roided out Vitor. If it was us three, if one of us immediately went for the waist, Jason took his back, and you started like you could do that.
Yeah.
You could.
That's what I always think is
Minimize
look
that.
for the takedown without getting askrened.
But then again, I've also shaken hands.
That's great.
That's a great idea.
You've watched enough MMA. You are good. You do not need to watch another fight ever again.
But then again, I've also shaken hands with Shane Carwin. There is that guy.
Right,
Who
well,
it's like that. He could throw me away like a leaf in the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
that's-
only so many of those guys.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
7 of us, we can take Shane.
Is that a guarantee? Is that a guarantee?
Look, I've fought Shane.
I know you have.
He had one arm, but still, I've also moved around with him. Look, he does have.
He slightly jabbed you and you lost consciousness.
He has.
I mean,
he has abnormal power.
it's freaky.
He picked me up with one arm,
Yeah.
like I was like a puppy on his wrist. Like he just went like that with me, and I was 200 pounds at least that day.
Like
And
a wet
you're-
towel on a boner.
And you're tough. You're in the if we're doing percentages of living humans,
But
like you're highest.
But I also look. I didn't try to hit him. Like I had shots, and I was like, I'm not here to beat you. Like I'm here to survive and then in the later rounds be knocked out for the crowd. Like that's kind of like what I told myself in the mirror before I went out there. At one point I had his one good arm trapped and I went like that on his face. I could have, like he did 5 seconds later, because I went dink dink, haha, and then we moved into the middle of the ring and he went whap in the back of my head and made my whole face go tingly. And I was like, hey man, like that's not cool. That is what that is. But if you touch someone's chin, you can, he could be hurt.
Yeah, no, and like you said, if enough guys have the balls to step up, you can minimize a lot.
Even if we all lose, the person that he's mauling is safe. And that's
right. And
that's what
maybe
we're supposed to do.
it'll be enough trouble that it'll stop that guy from being an asshole next time.
We're just supposed to do it. That's
Yeah,
all.
I got you.
Whether it's right or whether you win, it's not about winning. It's about being a man. This is how this conversation started.
And I'm
That's the
not
difference, in my opinion.
disagreeing with anything you guys are saying because I feel like I can already hear some comments, because so many people are so conditioned to follow a certain line
Ethic,
of thinking for the alpha male. I'm just asking the questions because I think you guys actually responsibly deploy alpha male ethics.
I think that is, to me, that's the difference. If we're at a bar, my wife, or a restaurant or something, and here's examples that have absolutely happened. I was at an outdoor, before the pandemic, there was like an outdoor Mexican restaurant in Venice Beach, right on Rhodes. Beautiful place. And I was me, my wife, and my daughter. And because it was like outdoor seating, the traffic on Rose Boulevard is just going by, and it's Venice Beach, so half of that traffic is homeless people. One guy was particularly crazy, and he starts screaming and threatening people. I'll fucking kill you, blah, 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 blah. There was no conversation needed. My wife and daughter got up and walked away and I got up and I was like, hey, buddy, let's go. Let's bring it down. What's your problem? What's going on? I don't think my wife's any less of a woman for doing that. I think she did exactly what she should. She took her child and got to safety.
Yeah.
And I think I did what a man should do.
Maybe popped out a couple more while she was back there.
She shit out a couple, yeah.
Yeah, dude, if somebody says something to your kids and you can avoid the war, then yeah. But if someone puts hands on your kids,
well, that's it.
That's when it's over. And the other thing is, like, when people are picking on somebody who's smaller or a woman, like, that's somebody else's daughter. Maybe it's not my daughter, but like, we're all a part of the human race, man. And like, that's somebody else's daughter and their father isn't there. I'm a father. You put hands on a woman near me, I'm not a psycho. I know I look like one, but I'd be like, hey man, you need to let go of her immediately. And if he's like, go fuck yourself, then I'm gonna like do my best to like get him off in a way where nobody gets hurt. But if he's good or bigger and he's swinging, then it's on, you know. And I will do everything that I can to like stop him from being a danger to that person. I don't know about you, dude, but on the plane, when I see videos of that stuff, part of me, and this is the thing where I'm like, when I said before, like, some people don't want an intruder to come in. I know, like BJ Baldwin, he's very enthusiastic about defending people or himself.
Mm-hmm. And he had the opportunity.
He has.
IRL.
He's had to kill somebody. But like, look, they had a gun that came. I don't blame him.
No, of course not.
No.
And he just so happened to be incredibly equipped and locked and loaded.
Yep.
Hey man, that was the wrong guy to come to at the In-N-Out Burger. You paid the ultimate price. Part of me, because I have trained and because I'm not Tim Kennedy, but I am built for, like, you know, you can hit me, you're probably not going to knock me out, and I'm going to finish you. I'm pretty trained.
The percentage of earth that Jason could beat the shit out of is extraordinarily high.
Yeah. Part of my ego thought that was very flattering. The other part was like, it's embarrassing. But in a plane, if somebody's doing something like that, and I wish I was there, because I feel like we can squash this real quick. Because if it isn't Tim Kennedy that's flipping out in the plane, because if it's Tim Kennedy, then I'm like, hey, everybody on the plane, you better help me, because we're gonna need the whole plane to make this work.
Yep.
But if it's a normal guy, he isn't even gonna get hurt. I can just wrap him up and be like, you know, sit down, dude, and put him in a seatbelt, and like, I'll sit next to him. Let's get to our destination. Everything's good. I hate when I see these things where he's like running up and down the thing and no one's stopping him. And I'm like, dude, there's kids in the plane that are watching this. Yeah. You're like scouring them.
Two things. One, I've seen the training videos of Al-Qaeda, ISIS, whatnot. There's no Tim Kennedys in that world. That demo has no Tim Kennedys, so we're good. But the second, do you follow Steven Strangles people?
No, I don't know who that is.
He's a I believe he's a Jersey or New York social media presence, and he creates great stuff. He's a legit black belt out of Henzo School, and
he puts German last name.
And he puts up content of people using self-defense and martial in the right way, and he puts up these awesome videos where like some like, you know, like young hyphy kid will be like punching an old man, and some just other random dude will just come up and just knock the kid out. I mean, and stand and like lecture him, and he breaks it down. He's like, this is what this is for. This is what this is not to bully people, not to do. And there's a lot of like fuck around and find outs where someone will be drunk, you know, talking shit to someone in a situation. And the guy's like, you don't understand how badly I'll fuck you up, bitch. If you, and the guy gets not drilled and knocked out.
Lecturing people after you handle them is so amazingly such old man.
That's the best.
You know, it's an instinct, right, Michael?
I remember Jackie Chan, the first time I watched Rumble in the Bronx, he cleans his house and he's like, don't you know you've embarrassed your family? God.
You know, that's
They are fucking done.
You know,
he did that in front of that guy's chick. She's never blowing him again.
Dude, that's an instinct that I've noticed from when I knocked out Gabe Rutiger, where I was very nervous because he was in the UFC, and I was like, I'm probably going to get beat. And I trained as hard as I could, and I beat him. And the whole fight, I was very, very focused and not cocky. Like, I think at the end when I started to think that if I dropped my hands, I could see where I could counter over the top. So I was a little confident, but still very focused. I don't remember it, but watching the video, when I knock him out, when he hits the ground, I go, yeah! And I'm like, who's that?
Who's that guy?
And it's like, oh, that's man. That's like your man
Instinct.
Yeah. When a guy goes down, now you puff up. And I was like, it's a little bit embarrassing, but it's also a thing that a lot of dudes do.
Yeah.
But dude, you just made me realize I have had to do it one time ever in my life where there was a guy that was going crazy on an island and he was threatening everyone on the island and there was no authorities. No, it was a little island. And
Gilligan's?
Yep. Let's just say it was Gilligan's Island and the skipper had lost it. And the people came to me, and this is the best bit because my wife, my mother of my children, who did not like fighting and didn't want me to be in any altercations, she came with them and was like, we need you to beat him up. And I was like, I'm sorry, Andrew, can you say it? Can you say that again, please? Because it was like, look, don't really hurt him. And I'm like, who do you think I am? Like, I'm not Jackie Chan. Like, you want me to beat him up? I'm not that good. And this is when I was a white belt in jiu-jitsu. I'd done a lot of wrestling at Team Quest, but I was not anywhere near as good as I am now. And I don't like altercations. And the guy was big. And I was like, okay, like you're all asking me, so I'm going to do it. But also, I could tell they all thought that it was going to be pretty easy for me. Mm. And I was like, I don't think you know, like, levels.
Reality.
Yeah, like, I was like, I'm pretty nervous. Like, I don't really want to do this. I hope it works out for me. And as I come to get him, he's coming down the boardwalk with a bottle of Corona in his hand. I'm like, oh, God. Dude, I'm not trained in bottle defense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And because he was drunk, he swung it and I went under it. And then I span him around and took his back and I choked him out. And because I do white belt level jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And then he kind of came to, tried to bite my hands. And then I choked him enough to not out, just enough so he could feel that he was going out.
Yeah.
And that put the fear in him. And then he agreed to like take a pill. And then I walked him to his room and put him to bed. And I took.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right? I was like that. But that was, again, I don't want to do that again. You know what I mean? Like people go, man, that's pretty cool. I'm like, it wasn't. Like I remember it. I remember how I felt. I was fucking nervous, dude. And after it, I was like, like that was the people like, man, you handled that. I'm like, yeah, if you could not ask me to do that again, I would appreciate it. Like, I think it wasn't cool.
That
it was stressful.
That idea really carries over is what I was talking about. I was like, I don't think most people who talk that big game, it's not that I think they're pussies and it's all. I don't think they know what they're talking about. I don't think they've had an experience. And a lot of high school boys, a lot of frat dudes where they're like, oh, fuck him up. I was like, do you know what you're saying? Like, do you know what that entails? It's not desirable.
There's a thing going around right now, a viral thing where there's I forgot the percentage. It's like most men think that they are a certain percentage of level of fighting that they're not, and it's like 4,000% better than they are, kind of thing. And it's like all these interviews I've seen people on the boardwalk. So do you know how to fight? Oh, yeah. Can you show us some of your shadow boxing? And it's guys on the boardwalk doing stuff where you and I would go, oh no. You know what? When someone goes, you show me some shadow, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm a singer. Can you throw up a couple of notes and you can't actually sing? Just say no and walk off. But these guys are that delusional that they're like, oh, you want to see something? They're like, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, you just told people that you could fight and you believe it that much and you just demonstrated it.
Yeah. I think that to me is the biggest, everyone talks about like self-confidence and obviously self-defense skills. To me, the greatest gift that martial arts and combat training mostly, because there's certain martial arts where you don't ever really get put in serious actual combat situation. But like for instance, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, the biggest gift they give you, in my opinion, is humility.
Yeah.
Because you can, all those guys that have 7,000% higher idea of what they're capable of doing in a fight, none of them train regularly. Because I've
being humbled is good.
Had my ass handed to me so many fucking times
Me
where
too.
guys aren't even breaking a sweat. They're
Yep.
not even paying attention sometimes. And they fuck me up.
Yep.
And that erases my ability to walk out into the real world and go like, I saw John Wick. I could do that.
Yeah.
I think if I really trained, I could. No, I can't.
I punched Dan Henderson once in an overhand right, and he was like, "There you go." And I remember going, "Man, that was my best punch." And he congratulated me and then beat me up. Also, Mayhem, when I was real angry training for my first fight, he took me down and was over the top of me, and I was mad. And he was like, "Don't get mad, keep going." And he like kept me sparring. And at one point, he was over the top of me. He was still standing, and he was kind of squatting on the back of my hamstrings. And I was trying to kick him off, and he just sat on my legs, so I couldn't get him off. And then he was raining punches on my head, and I remember going, "Oh, like this." And I could see him going, "Don't give up, like keep going." I'm like,
You got this.
You're not fighting me.
Yeah.
You're just playing with me."
Beating me up.
And this is where, like in a real fight, this is where I'm about to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it was like, "Don't give up, Jace." Like, and he was like, "Yay." And I'm like, "Boof, boof." And I'm like, "I can't breathe. I can't move. And I'm like, this is the game. Like so many times, like you were saying, and when inspiring people that are proper guys where they're like, "Good job, Jason." And I'm like, "Good job. I'm
giving you my all.
I'm trying to kill you."
I will only say this because he did not mean this to be demoralizing. It just didn't register, and then also because it's so preposterously crazy how what their levels are. Right, Crone was training for his first couple MMA fights in Gracie in Japan, and so he would. I was training at his academy at the time, and he was doing. There was there's the mat for training jiu-jitsu, and then there was another section for like MMA training that was an actual octagon. And he was training in there, and then he was finishing up his training. He was all sweaty. He was shirtless, but he was in like trunks. And I was finishing a gi class on the mats. Crone came over, and he was on his phone like this, texting. I was like, "How's training going?" He's always been very nice to me, and I was like, "Oh, he's like, it's good. He's like, you want to get some rolls in?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I would love to." And he got on the mats, still texting, then sat on his bum like this and was like this. And I'm like, "Go?" He's like, "Yeah, no, it's good." And I couldn't pass his guard, and he never put his phone down, and he continued to text people.
He's an asshole.
I was like, "Oh, that's how different the levels are." Like his jiu-jitsu is so automatic, and he doesn't need his hands. And it's not like I'm like a baby.
Yeah.
Like
I disagree. You got humbled.
I mean, it was that was one of those situations where my eyes were so opened by, you can get better. Mike, you are getting better. Mike, you might be effective against a large swath of regular dudes. This is what someone who gets a paycheck to roll jiu-jitsu.
You know what's crazy is you're talking about Crone, and Crone gets beaten by somebody, and then the person that beat him gets knocked out by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
The levels that people don't understand. It's kind of like, for some weird reason, it's men, because I teach a class on Saturdays. Women go, "Oh, really? Like this?" Because there's no ego. Mm-hmm. A man goes, "No, I've had some scraps. I'm pretty sure this is how you do it." And I'm like, "Your hands are not around your head. I'm going to keep punching you in the head if you don't put them up." And they're like, "Yeah, but I saw Mayweather do this." And I'm like, "Okay, then do that." And then I punch him in the face, and they go, "Man, why does that keep happening?" And I'm like, "Do you think it's because your hands are not around your head? Why don't you just give it a go, see what happens?" And then they go, "Oh yeah, that might have worked."
Do you think it's because you're not Floyd Mayweather?
It's crazy. It's 99% of all men that spar me that do that. And I go, "Just real quick before we start, did you get this from Floyd Mayweather?" And they go, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And I'm like, "Well, he did that since he was like 5, and he's real good. So that's like, you can use that, but you should maybe wait like a decade to like add that to your repertoire. Right now, this is really, because if you do this, see how it's like hard for me to hit you in the head because your hands are here? Just try it." And a lot of guys are pretty sure they don't need that until I punch them in the head.
I didn't know. You know, the whole, "I don't need to train because I see red when it's time to go."
Yeah, those are good.
I thought that was a meme. I thought that was like, I don't know, women lying about their age. Like, I thought it was something that happened in the 50s and that it was funny online. And I was getting my oil change, and the guy said that, he's like, what do you got planned for the rest of the day?" and a big guy, but not like it, but he's a big fella. And I said, "Oh, I'm on my way to go train." He said, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Oh, there's my jiu-jitsu academy's right down the street." He's like, "Oh, that stuff's cool, man. I like that MMA stuff, that jiu-jitsu." He's like, "I don't need to do it because like when it's time to go, I go crazy. I go." And I was thinking, I didn't pick on, I didn't get in a conversation with him about it or insult him in any way. But that moment, I was like, "Oh, that's a real thing. Guys think that." Like,
Oh yeah.
do you
I mean,
know
there's
what?
that guy that
you know
has-
what someone with head movement would do if you see red? Like,
There's that guy that has
would
the
feel?
podcast where he talks to fighters and goes, "Do you think I could beat you?" And
Oh, Bradley.
yeah. And I'm like, "You," and he's like, "Really, Nate Diaz? You think you could beat me?" And he's like, "Dude, you're a fucking podcaster." And it's like he's like, "I'm pretty sure if I get my hands on you, that I would just like ragdoll you." And I'm like, "I see how you would think that, but you'd be surprised how little people that have been doing it's like the easiest way to do it is like, if I say, if you skateboarded before and you're like a couple times, I'm like, drop in on the mega ramp.
Yeah.
You go, no way, dude,
Yeah,
I'll
fuck
fucking
that.
kill myself. But for some weird reason, man thinks fighting, if I just see red, I could probably maul you. And I'm like, it's
Yeah.
the same rules apply.
Right.
Like, do you think you can beat somebody who's in the Olympics at a swimming race? They did it for decades, dude. There's a technique
Yeah,
that
but I got
really
heart.
works. Yeah.
I will stick up for
I just see
Bradley.
red and I paddle real fast.
I will stick up for Bradley in a sense because you're right. But I also, here's the thing. I don't know Bradley Martin. I like Bradley Martin, but I don't know him. But I've bumped elbows with a lot of people he does. But I will stick up for him in this sense. You don't know on video. He's fucking huge. I mean, he's like 6'5", 260. I mean, he's a huge NFL size guy, jacked out of his mind. And he's not like
can get tired in 30
but wait,
seconds.
I know, but he's not uncoordinated bodybuilder guy. He's a unit. He's an athlete. And when he's talking to Nate Diaz, I think even in the back of his mind, he knows this, but it makes for good content to hear Nate Diaz explain why. Now, when he's talking to Demetrius Johnson is one of the greatest martial artists that will ever live, technically all around. There is something to be said for if that guy, as powerful and as strong as he is, and I thought if he did bear hug Demetrius Martin,
You got to be joking me.
he could. But hold on.
If this is in a phone booth, maybe I'll.
No, hold on. The chances he can get a hold of Demetrius Martin is low. I'm
Low?
simply saying and you know these people, Jason. He could use the ground as a weapon. He is that big and strong.
If Demetrius let him pick him up, yeah.
And I say, and the chances of that are slim because of
Slim.
I'm just saying.
It's child's play.
I think it was Devin Haney. He was talking to the pro boxer.
Yeah.
And Nate even brought this. He's like, look, Devin Haney, 150 pounds. He's a boxer. Now, if you can get in without getting fucking cracked, because he will crack you 20 times before you even know. If somehow you get with your size and strength, he could Rampage Jackson powerbomb and use the ground. And that is a thing. I'm just pointing
Like if you pick Demetrius Johnson up, he is on your back and you are done before you fucking lift him.
He's not just some random buff guy.
I agree.
Like he's the guy who could turn Earth into a
But
weapon.
we were just talking
and
about
fuck you
levels,
up.
and Demetrius Johnson is the greatest.
He's
if not the greatest martial artist alive. Like maybe there's an argument there's some new guys these days, but he is, dude.
I've been going back watching.
He is insane.
I've been going back watching old UFCs,
Do you know how fast his feet move?
I don't know if I gave enough. I mean, I obviously knew how great he was. I put him in GOAT status, but I don't really I didn't recognize at the time how fucking good GSP was. Like how much in control.
Yeah.
He and it wasn't. Whereas Demetrius, when he finished Ray Borg with like a suplex into an armbar,
that's
it's
crazy.
fascinating.
I thought it was. I think the last fight he did in one.
Oh,
where
that
he,
knee.
where he got his belt back.
Ooh.
The combination before the knee, the fakes, like to
The
hit.
feints,
You
yes.
can when you watch it in slow motion, you can see that that's how he sees it.
He dismantled.
He sees it in slow motion because he goes, oh, and makes you move with that, and then and then he's like, oh, you're gonna see that, then I'll come with that, and I'm like. That happened in real time where it was like, and he saw all of it like, oh, not yet, not now, oh, now. Like, you could tell, like, his brain, the way he saw it, was like how we watched it when they played the replay in slow motion, where I'm like, you're in the Matrix.
He's in the
you little
Matrix.
Shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's talk about diet because we've just talked about how tough we are for the last hour.
Sure.
Now I am, actually, I got pretty loose lately. I went hunting and they were like, Jason, would you like some more bread with your cheese? And I was like, yeah,
Yes,
man,
I would.
Sure. Like, let's all hang out. And then when I got back, I went back on the road, and I've been doing some donuts. I've been partying. I'm in a new relationship. I'm happy. So I'm like, yeah, donuts. Let's celebrate. So I'm getting a little soft. But usually I am an animal-based diet where I have my meat with my rice and my sweet potato and my avocado. And in the morning, I'll add eggs to it, but it's usually just that 3 times a day.
Great.
And since I've been doing that, people have said to me, they're like, hey, man, are you juicing? And I'm like, dude, I'm in my 50s.
I told you look great, man.
I'm not juicing. And it's like, oh, you're on testosterone. I'm like, yeah, I've been on TRT for over a decade.
That's a different thing.
And I was never big from it.
Yeah.
The diet is 100%. I also think maybe the other argument is being sober.
Yeah.
I think the amount of marijuana that I used to smoke, one, it would make me less consistent of a workout person, but I also think maybe my metabolism has changed a little bit. But the bottom line is I've put on 20 pounds of muscle in the last year and a half, and I do go to the gym.
You've put on 13, 14 pounds of muscle and 6, 7 pounds of water.
Okay.
That's just so people, when they go, I'm 20 pounds heavier and it's clearly all muscle, I go like, well, it's mostly muscle, but
you would know.
Water weight is mostly what our weight, period.
I could bench like 300.
Well, first
you took me to the gym. 200 was like, hey.
Here's the thing though. You're very naturally gifted strength wise and athletically. You're just a naturally gifted guy. B, your build is perfect for strength. I mean, like you have.
I'm a big bone guy.
And then on top of that, you're alluding to nutrition. I'm not going to talk about performance because I'm not an expert in that regard. But when it comes to how your body looks, nutrition is so much the most important thing that training is like an adjunct. Right. It can be looked at as an adjunct.
You could not train and look jacked.
If for 1 year you ate a perfectly well-regulated, nutritious diet that was the calories were capped in a certain way and the macros were really worked out well to suit your chemistry, and for 1 year and you didn't work out, and you instead took another person who was in your identical twin and they trained like a balls to the wall, but they ate nothing but Twinkies and drank beer, the person who dieted and didn't train is going to inevitably look better and be healthier by all their internal markers. That is reality. And I just wish, because people, and I love this, people are very obsessive about fitness nowadays, and social media has helped in a big way. But people get so geeky about their training, and they obsess about how the mesocycles and different levels of intensity and how much volume to intensity should I do, and what's my proper training split. I go like, what'd you eat today though? Right. Well, I had Chipotle, and then I came home and I ordered pizza with my family. I was like we got to switch this. You know?
Hey everybody, Jason Ellis, the Jason Ellis Show. We're talking about hymns. If you're listening right now and you have a penis, open your ears because I have some vital information, and wake your penis up because he needs to know too.
HIMS provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable tablets, Viagra, and Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% less. Why would you be treating your ED anywhere else? The process is 100% online. You don't need to go to the doctor's office. You don't need to see the other weird, creepy people that are there. You don't need to go to their weird, stupid bathroom. You need to ask for a key to be able to use your own bathroom. Sit on your own couch. You don't even necessarily need insurance to get the ED option that works for you from HIMS.
And then you'd be swinging bones. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/Ellis. That's HIMS.com/Ellis for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/Ellis.
The featured products include compounded products which are not approved nor verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality by the FDA. Prescription required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
The thing that I want to talk to you about is the supplements, because you're talking about social media, and it's like all these people that keep talking about methylene blue and all these other things, and I'm like, cool, man, maybe. But like if you ask me how any of this, because I don't know I haven't taken methylene blue, so I don't know, but I have taken Alpha Brain. It didn't do shit. And everyone says like, now I work out so much better because I take it. I'm like, no, it's almost like these days where coffee, energy drinks, you need energy. And I'm like, there was a time where people like worked on a farm and there was no such thing as Monster Energy. No disrespect to Monster Energy. If you like a taste of it, that's great. Have a Coke too. I don't care. But I don't think it really helps. I don't think any of these things help. And it's always these quick diets, quick fix, take a pill, all these things. How do you feel about all that stuff? Because the more I've eaten this diet, because that's the other thing. I think with the weed, I would just be like, I'm eating ice cream at late at night
2 a.m. Yeah,
and not even equating that to my diet. I'm like, yeah, man, I eat pretty clean until I get tired at around 9:30, and then just fucking
milk and cookies.
Yeah, everything is off. But like my advice to people is like, I feel like you were just touching on it. It's like just your diet. If it's just your diet, you don't need methylene blue.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, because you're making all great points. To deviate a little bit, and sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm not. This is not a condescending or from an ivory tower. I suffer from it too. But staring at a screen or being invested in something on screens has really, because even just 15 years ago, sure, you leave the TV on while you're trying to fall asleep, and that's probably not a good idea. But it's 15 feet away from you, and the sound goes in. People got the earbuds, or they're staring directly at their phone. I'm like, it's great, because you may fall asleep and you say, oh, I got 7 hours last night. But what were your dreams like? Were they vivid dreams? Were you deeply sleeping? And like that, the value of sleep to what it does to, obviously to recovery, people understand you'll feel more refreshed. But I'm talking about your metabolic health, your hormones, your growth hormone, your ability to deal with stress without an overflow of cortisol. You know, like,
are you saying turning the TV off and then going to sleep? That's bad too?
No. What I'm saying is like the mistakes we'd make in 2008 was I'd stay up watching some show and I would just leave the TV on. It was probably a better choice.
Classically, people fell asleep watching Johnny Cars.
Yeah, I would be watching the late.
Because I watch
show.
TV to go to sleep, but when I start to get tired, I turn it off.
We all should. We all should. I mean,
supposedly, is it the blue light? Looking at your phone anywhere near bed, like an hour near bed, is like a bad idea.
Yeah, and there's certain practices that actually enhance your ability to fall asleep. For instance, reading a book, a non-digital, like an actual book, it aids in getting deeper sleep and it help you fall asleep, help you on. Obviously, meditation and breathing exercises would be, optimal. We're talking optimal world. I'm not talking optimal world. I'm talking just bare basics. The lion's share of us, all of us, because of the way society is pushing our buttons so hard, and the level of contention that's coming into your brain and your consciousness, and the amount of that we have to deal with just nonsense from all of the incoming kind of stimuli, you're trying to fall asleep like this, and I'm telling you that makes a big difference. And again, I'm saying this as a very invested observer, as someone who's guilty of it too. I'm not trying to. I don't like a lot of this like wellness movement. Everyone
only
has
human, dude. I feel like when you say like the ultimate way to do everything is like you can do that, but as a guy that's like, I've cut weight for a fight, trust me, dude, it'll change the way you look at food for the rest of your fucking life. There's a lifestyle where, dude, we got to go to work. You got kids. You wake. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get woken up. Like there's a certain amount where you don't bite off too much, where you end up falling off and writing the whole thing off. If you do a moderate one, I find that is like I'm something you can survive on, where you're not torturing yourself and you're like some subhuman where it's like, I do breath work, I don't watch TV, I don't look at the phone, I only eat this thing. Like, dude, that's a really difficult way to exist.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. One of the smartest things I ever heard Aubrey Marcus say was, and he said it on the show one time, is think of your health and your wellness as like a bank account, where it's like every day, are you taking a little bit out where you're running your balance down? Are you taking a lot out where you're going to be broke soon? You can't like, oh, I put $50,000 away, but then you fall off and you don't do it. He's like, if you're just like having more good days than bad days, and you're slowly but surely building up, someday you'll be 50 and you'll look and you'll have a lot of money in the bank, because you've made you have a long history of pretty consistently making more good than bad decisions.
This is why
that's realistic.
Aubrey's a lot more successful in the fitness industry than I am. But I have a saying similar, but his is much better.
Successful in relationships.
Yeah. But
I don't care, dude.
But you know what? I was a kid who grew up. I was like, I wanted to be a little league dad. That's all. Everyone always like, I want to be on the radio. Seacrest wanted to be on the radio since he was a little kid. I didn't want to be shit when I was a little kid. I wanted to take my kids to the little league, and I couldn't wait to go to like family restaurants and waft farts in my son's face.
Yeah, endless bread bowls, right?
Have a hot dog.
So what I say is, and I like every dickbag in Los Angeles will tell you he's writing a screenplay. This is how my diet book is coming. It's like, I'm writing it, yes, but I don't put enough effort. I need to finish it. And I want to call it the needle moving diet, or moving the needle, or something like that, because there's so much information out there. And there's so much stuff that people try to sell you and everything, and we get bogged down with stuff. And a lot of it is very useful. The blue methyl stuff, it's useful. It works. A lot of these pre-workouts,
do you do it?
They work. I don't, but they work. A lot of these diet protocols, they work. But what I think is like, do they work enough that you're willing to sacrifice that brain power to go away from the stuff that really is moving the needle? How many calories you're eating?
Yeah.
A breakdown and keeping protein high, stuff that is moving the needle day in and day out. So, and my saying to people I work with on Patreon is always, what you do 100% of the time with 75% commitment is always better than something that's 100% perfect 75% of the time.
Yeah.
It's all, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to do Ronnie Coleman's Olympia prep diet for 2 weeks and then you go crazy, it drives you insane, literally. And so you have pizza and donuts for a week and then you go back and instead, if you were to just eat a reasonable amount, get a gram of protein for a pound of body weight, and then get 2,100 calories if you're a normal size guy, and just do that. And you have a piece of pizza here, you have a beer at night, but you're consistently hitting that. That's way better in the long run. It's way better. And there's stuff that is super important when it comes to supplements. There's a lot of stuff that works, and I don't want to tell you not to buy it, especially these companies are working hard. They're trying to build. There's a lot of stuff that's great. Protein powders, pre-workouts, different peptides.
Yeah.
When it comes to stuff that like
creatine and stuff,
day in and day out, it's going to move the needle. Fish oil, creatine, vitamin D. If you just make sure you take that every day, that is absolutely going to make a big difference. It's going to make a difference.
Enteric coated.
Enteric coated, yes.
What's that?
It's the stuff that keeps you from getting the fish burps.
Fish burps, yes.
Oh, wow.
That's huge.
A lot of it, it's not 2005 anymore, though. A lot of the fish oil, even you'd get at Costco or a Walmart or something, most of it's going to be pretty digestible. The industry has advanced. But there's a handful of companies that you're absolutely guaranteed this is good shit you're getting. But yeah, a good fish oil supplement, vitamin D with a vitamin K included because it helps with the digestion, and creatine monohydrate. Plain, not super duper turbo tech creatine. Creatine monohydrate. Make sure it's not that they get the bulk supplement from a reliable lab. CreaPure is always you're bankable. If you see the CreaPure label on that means that they got the company that made the supplement got the bulk stuff from this place in Germany that it is creatine, because there's a lot of controversial places where they're getting it's actually like different flour and stuff like that, but they put a teeny bit of creatine in there, or it's not even effective. So CreaPure creatine monohydrate, it's cheap as shit. You get it, and it works. It gives you better cognitive function. It gives you better resistance in different like there's huge studies that I saw that was fascinating to me. Creatine monohydrate users are resistant to concussion.
Yeah,
from brain injury. More resistant than someone who's not taking it. So those three, and you're looking at that's very affordable even for regular Joes. And those things, like I said, they move the needle. Upping your protein intake, if you're trying to go on a diet, protein is going to have a higher thermic effect of food, which means it's a fancy way of saying eating protein actually burns more calories than the other two macronutrients, carbohydrates and fat. It gets your metabolism working harder to digest it. Also, it's far more satiating calorie for calorie. There's 4 calories in each gram of protein. If you were to say make 40%, 50% of your diet protein, you will be less hungry. Yeah. And here's just a regular Joe kind of discussion. If you come home, long day at work, and you're like deciding what you're going to make for dinner. If you bite the bullet and you go like, I'm not that hungry, but I know I need to eat. Okay, here's my chicken breast or this flank steak over here. If I cook this up and I eat it, I'll eat a regulated amount of food. If I throw in the towel and I have this pasta, I'm going to have 1,300 calories. That's very you'll just, because that stuff, the palate sensation with breads and pastas and things like that are so enjoyable.
Makes you want to eat more again.
In comparison to the satiation of it, you just naturally you're going to eat more, and that's where I think people get led astray with ketogenic diets.
It makes you wake up in the morning and want to have more of it too.
Yes, it tunes your palate to be overeating. The ketogenic diet in and of itself, there's nothing magic about it. Developing ketones and eating no carbs. No, I don't recommend it. It's not beneficial in and of itself. What it does do is it makes you eat a shit ton less. There's only so much fucking butter, cheese, and eggs and meat you can eat. You get stuffed and you're like, okay, this is fucking boring and I don't want to eat anymore. And if you write off carbs, you don't break and you don't go eat that. You're going to end up eating 1,000 calories less week after week than you would if you were to allow yourself the bun with the burger and everything, because you just your palate gets attuned to wanting to eat more, and so that's just something that if you really front load protein and you eat a shit ton of it, it's gonna in the end, you're obviously gonna get better protein synthesis and stuff. If you're training, if you're working out, it's gonna be helpful in that regard. But it helps you eat less. It helps you regulate your eating, and so those are the needle movers, like the big major stuff. Because Jason's asking about all these fringe supplements, and a lot of them are good. A lot of them work. I'm not saying they're bad. What I am saying is, why not focus and use all your energy and your focus and your mental power on stuff that is going to be like really moving the needle.
Well, and it's just a little fishy when somebody's keyed in on stuff like that, because and I'm not saying this to be overly critical of people, but you can tell they're still kind of looking for the one weird trick.
Right.
They don't want to give up Chipotle. If I take this magic bean, then Chipotle's
I think I shit on
it
too hard because I feel like I'm missing it's like people that keep asking about that stuff. Yeah, like you said, it all, like if you stretch, if you do breath work, if you go in the cold plunge, like, yeah, man, they all add up to helping you be fitter. But it's oftentimes most people that ask to do stuff like that also eat Chipotle.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could not take any of that. I'm not saying don't take it. If you got the money, get it.
Yes.
But if you eat clean, it's 10 times more effective than that stuff if you eat Chipotle.
Here's a good analogy I like to use. A lot of these, especially out in Austin right now, the wellness community is huge, and in all different facets, whether it be parenting, women's health, men's bonding. There's a huge thing. And I because my daughter goes to a Waldorf school, I get introduced to a lot of this like healthy parenting stuff, and a lot of it's like exercises, and then you do this with your daughter, and it leads to this, and the whole time I'm sitting there, I was like, what if you don't look at your phone when you're around your kids? Mm-hmm. How about that? How about every day you fucking go, how you feeling?
Yeah.
That's big. Moves the needle. And then you don't have to wait. I don't have to read 7 books about how to do these detailed things. I was like, how about when you're around your kids? How about when you eat dinner, the TV and screens are off? And you have a family dinner. That's a guarantee. We make a commitment. We're going to eat as a family and not look at screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things that are just like bona fide, no ifs, ands, or buts. It's working.
Shout out to the Jews. Every Saturday, they turn all their shit off.
And
I thought it was Sunday, but I found out it was Saturday.
Yeah, it's sundown on Friday night.
It's an awesome thing.
Yeah, I know, because I can't get bread.
Here's what I will say.
My bakery's closed.
Not to get into again
or hummus.
It's always dicey to in a podcast or a broadcast setting to start talking
criticize
about
the Jews.
Any type of religious. No. Quite the opposite.
I didn't do that with a record.
Quite the opposite. When you look, because I grew up here in Southern California, in Los Angeles, but I grew up on the East Side. I grew up in an incredibly Asian neighborhood. It was one of the most probably outside of the native countries of China, Korea, and mostly Korean and Chinese, but certainly Japanese was in there and Thai and whatnot. I outside of the native, I probably lived in the most populated place on the globe outside of the native countries. And you start to see, and then also I had this weird experience of moving to Texas. This was so like big city guy bias, but I didn't know how few Jews there were. Because I grew up in a world where I went to like 50 bar mitzvahs and it was just part, as the most goyim guy ever. But so, and then I started to look back as an observer who stepped away from it now, look at cultures. And I remember one night Corolla was on Loveline and we were discussing culture, how Corolla is. He doesn't care. He'll just go straight to it. We were talking about cultures that seem to be thriving versus cultures that aren't, right? And we were talking about Jews and Asians. Why is it that they dominate, whether it be business, whether it be in social advancement? And I was thinking about, I was like, my friends who were Chinese that moved here and then they worked there. What was sports important? Was this? No, it was. And with my Jewish friends, it was the same thing: family and education. They didn't give a shit about anything else. Nothing matters. What are your grades like? What college you going to? And no, you're not going out. You're coming home. You're hanging out with grandma, and and everything. Community, family, and community, and education. That's all that mattered. That can't be tangentially related to why they're successful. That has to be something that is
right. And the common thread through the health and wellness stuff we're talking about and the parenting stuff is it's sustained, solid, but maybe unexceptional effort. And there's just something about, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the big change. I'm going to start waking up at 2 a.m. and dumping my face in ice baths and stuff like that. Or I need to read books about how I should be parenting my kids. And that's sort of energy you're putting into that enthusiasm. It ebbs and it flows. What you're talking about in terms of health and wellness or family is just consistent. We talk at dinner. We put away devices. We eat clean. We don't. Chipotle is a treat if you have it at all.
Yeah, and
people don't want it. That doesn't get you. That doesn't make you pop on social media.
It sucks, and it's and that goes with every facet of health and fitness. And I'm not going to be that guy who's like not successful and then bitches and moans about it. But that's reality, and I've had a hard time dealing with it. If I put up a video of me deadlifting heavy and then go, make sure you practice, I could deadlift 5 something, but this is me working out with 275 and I'm doing 2 reps just to make sure I get my torso rigid. And it's boring. When I if someone else puts up this extremely intricate, like wild, almost acrobatic training program, that gets a lot of clicks. The booty burn, the chicks who have insane bodies with big asses, and then they put up their band workout and everything. And it's like all nonsensical in my opinion when it's like, let's break down. Here's an actual real life story that made me go, wow. My a female friend of mine was gonna use F45. She started at F45 and I go she goes, what do you think of it?
What's F45?
It's a circuit training kind of group class company. It's a nationwide company, and you go and it's like 40 minutes and it's really hard, intense circuit.
Like half as good as P90X.
It's in that. It's the same world. It's like the same, half as good as P. It's funny. But she's like, "What do you think?" I go, "If that's the one thing, if that's what gets you off the couch to not work out, it's awesome. The best, as Stan Efferding says, the best exercise you can do is the one you will do." Yeah. And I think that I said, but the problem is like you're chasing fatigue. You go in there, and the more sweaty and tired you get, you think that's what they're selling you, and you're going to be more invested. I said, that's not necessarily how you want to look at training to change your body. And she explained to me, I was like, well, look, a lot of those P90X people that are your instructors, they have a progressive overload weight training program that they're doing. They do. That's how you get jacked. That's how you get lean. And she's like, I don't know. I mean, I see. Okay. But like I said, I like this for you because it seems like you're into it and you'll do it. Yeah, and that's better. That night, it sounds like a bullshit movie kind of story. That night, I go to Gold's Gym in Venice Beach, and their P90X instructors, one female, one male. They have the shirt on, F45. They have the collared shirt on, and they come in and they go to the squat rack and they do their workout. I'm like. See what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So there's what sells and there's reality, and the reality oftentimes it's boring and it's not very marketable. Reality of what works sometimes just kind of sucks. And the same with a lot of I see with like the finances, like the crypto bros that get really intricate ideas of what they need to do and what they invest in, and then pull out and then short this and immediate. And then you look at the Warren Buffetts of the world, and it's like, I
invested in butter.
I worked really hard and I invested smartly. I took 50% of my income always, and I put it to a Roth bond. It's like, but that doesn't sell books, because you're like, I'm not gonna do that. That sucks.
Yeah. How's your farm?
It's great. I love it. It's very, very fulfilling.
I feel like his life is moving in a direction sort of similar to the path that you've been on.
Yeah.
Well, he's moving more ranchy.
Horses have got me to the point where if I had the money, I want to move to a place where I just have horses and maybe some cows and some chickens.
Caring for animals in a farm situation is so utterly, unbelievably fulfilling. But I will say this, the horse tops all. There's something unique about the relationship of humans and horses.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of years
Changed
of
my life,
them needing us and us needing them.
Yeah.
There is something there that is so. My friend who got you the horse wheelie. Remember that? He's a cop in Los Angeles area, and when he moved here, he had to go to the academy. But he's a real cowboy. He was from Montana and stuff like that. And he said, while I'm in the academy, would you do me a favor and take care of my horses at the Sunset Ranch up by the Hollywood sign?
Yeah.
And I said, would I? That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So I got this crash course and then a real behind the scenes look at what it means to be a real horseman and care for horses. And I'll tell you, you couldn't, if you put this shit in a movie, people go, oh, so stupid. But I was going through my divorce at the time. And the nights...
they know.
The nights I would come up and I would just be so sad and everything, the horses' whole demeanor would change. And we're talking about like wild, who have no problem kicking me when I'm trying to clean their shoes and stuff. They would come up and put their head into my armpit and nuzzle. And days when I'm being an asshole, I remember Molly particularly would paste her head to the post like this, like put her head on the post, like so I couldn't get the ropes off. I could take her out. She's like, no, I'm not going anywhere with you until you change your attitude. And I'm like, it's really stunning. Equine therapy is a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the coolest shit ever. I'm completely done. I just hang out with them whenever I got time. I don't have a car right now, but when I have my car every morning, that's stopped my workouts. I don't work out as much because I go see my horse every morning. And he changes everything. It changes my attitude towards everybody and everything in my life. Like, I just think life is so much more special to me because of the horse. And people's temperament. You don't need to talk. I can tell what kind of person you are because I sense it like a horse does. Because the horse taught me that. Like, you don't talk. You don't need to act. You don't need to do something for me to understand who you are. I can just feel what you're about, And that horse showed me that.
I have donkeys. You can come visit my donkey.
I also I swear, I talk to horses in a way now where I went and saw horses in Ocala. My friend's got horses, and he was like, show you some horses. And the way I used to hang out with horses to the way I hang out now, it's just a different thing. And the horse knows it.
Yeah.
He knows that I'm a horse person. He's like, oh yeah, we can hang. And then we like bond. And then we walk around a little bit.
I think the larger swath of the audience would relate. There's it's very similar with dogs. Everyone has that friend who's skittish around dogs. And they come to your house and your dog's like, what's with this guy? And then you have the friend that walks in, like I did when I came in this morning, and you're like, hey, boo-boo, and you're giving him kisses. And the dogs are like, yeah, this is my guy. Right. They sense, they know.
I Googled this morning things that only farmers would know.
Okay.
And I'm curious.
Okay, let's go.
Both of you guys, since you're kind of moving in this direction.
Thanks, Michael, for counting me in.
Do you know what triggers the egg-laying process in chickens?
What triggers it?
Yeah, this one I wouldn't necessarily expect you to know.
Well, it's part of it's seasonal.
Yes.
And weather plays a role.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that.
Can you scare an egg out of somebody's pussy?
I don't know. But outside of that, I wouldn't know. Those are the two I...
The egg-laying process begins when light hits a photosensitive gland near a chicken's eyes.
Fuck. Yes.
Kicks off a day-long cycle where the chicken will eventually lay an egg through muscular contraction, which I believe is to say that if you keep your chickens in the dark, you will get no eggs.
It makes sense.
It's like sunlight for your eyes in the morning.
Yep.
Direct sunlight.
That's right. Chickens are the original Hubermans.
Whatever I'm doing, whatever light I'm giving them, it's working because I can't do... I go to jujitsu every day with like 4 dozen. I'm like, here,
Man, I
please.
wish I lived there.
Yeah. I forget. I was talking. I texted you about something the other day, and you asked me if I needed eggs. and I didn't at the time. I had.
You can't send them here, can you?
We weren't.
I think I brought them. I brought some to my parents.
Yeah, before
out here.
we fucked up. 'Cause
I ate 'em
we
one
we
time.
weren't home for Easter like we planned to be. So I had like 2 dozen eggs. We had egg problems for a while there, and that's when I spoke to you. I'm actually short on eggs. I wish I'd known you were coming.
I wish I would have brought some. I'm sorry, guys. I brought my
seems like
parents
a lot.
some. I brought my parents some.
How much food does a cow need to eat per day to maximize milk output?
Dude, I drove cattle the other day,
Cattle are sick.
and they eat and shit.
A lot.
How much?
24/7.
How much do they eat?
I'm gonna say
Yeah, right. Like,
this is a total guess. I don't have cows, but I'm gonna guess.
how much does grouse weigh?
Are we talking weight of hay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna say
Get back to my-
40 pounds.
I'm gonna do weed. I'm gonna say
Mm-hmm.
4
6
ounces.
kilos. In order to maximize milk output, 100 pounds per day. You guessed 40, which is I think would sound very, very high to a lot of people, and yet wasn't even half of the true number.
I'm just thinking of my goats and sheep when they would be would give birth, and it would get up there, and they're the size of like a Labrador, and I would get them up into the 20, 30. So I don't know. I just said
Yeah. And if you give them that much to eat, how much milk can one dairy cow produce in one day?
I got no idea.
What would you guess?
half gallon.
Right?
Yeah.
A gallon.
I mean, I've done it. It doesn't.
It doesn't come not that much comes out. Yeah.
It says here 7 gallons.
Not well. Maybe you do it 6 times a day. Maybe that's the thing. That's
Yeah.
why.
How much
milk-
do they
milk-
poo? Because
Yeah.
that's the crazy.
That's where the other 60 pounds come back out.
Dude,
Yeah.
they poo like this.
Yeah.
I drove cattle like 5 miles, and the amount of shit I watched come out of a cow's ass, it was astronomical.
Yeah.
I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cow pies are like they look like that pad. I mean, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. They're
They
elite
were just shitting
at
and eating the whole time.
They're elite shitters
What does it mean to pick a horse's hooves?
to clean out the.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? What does it mean?
What do I mean when I say pick a horse's hooves?
You clean their feet?
Yes.
Clean their
You
shit.
clean it because there's changing the shoe, and then you get the
After you
picking.
take them for a walk or you ride them, you do
Yeah.
this little, you brush them out.
And when you pick a horse's hooves, which part are you careful to avoid?
Oh, isn't there a?
It's got a particular name.
Yeah, there's a certain name for it, but it's the fleshy part, and
Right in the
by
middle of the
heel.
core.
I don't know what the name is though.
The triangular part of a horse's hoof inside the underside, soft and is used as a shock absorber when they're walking, but is very sensitive and must be protected, known in the biz as the frog.
Oh, wow.
And they do the thing where like if someone pressure points you, where you do.
Yeah.
If you accidentally they'll give them the.
Yeah. So don't do that.
Yeah, that probably sucks for them.
Yeah.
Probably sucks for them.
What is a gelding?
Gelding's a type of horse.
Yeah.
What kind of type of horse?
It's a
Lady horse.
Kinda.
A baby lady.
No.
Gelding
If only there was a word for those.
is a gel. this is
my son. This is my baby lady.
this is a. This is a.
I know you can't tell. But
guess.
trust me. She'll likely get hair and breasts.
It is a birthing ready female. That's a guess.
A gelding is a castrated horse.
Oh, dang. That's
yeah.
complete opposite.
Yeah, because it's a stallion that isn't, right? No, wait. What's the one? Because that's the boy. If he hasn't been neutered, then that's the one where if you're riding him and he sees a lady,
Yeah.
You're fucked.
yeah, that's what everyone tells you. They're like, if he's like, he sees one and he's looking to bone,
Yep.
there's no skill set that you can stop that horse. He's going there, and you just better hang on.
Yeah. Now you're the third guy at the threesome. That's not good.
You're a cock.
And you have a 1/5 as big a cock as
Yeah.
the other guy at the.
Speaking of which, what is a horse's sheath?
Isn't that the
Foreskin?
kind of their foreskin?
Yeah, that is their foreskin.
I have to wash that on Friday.
How often are you supposed to clean a horse's sheath?
Weekly.
Yeah,
Weekly, I think.
I know. Whitney's like, you coming to help me wash the dick? And I'm like, he's my friend. I want to jerk him off.
Yeah, but you're better at it than most of us because you have foreskin.
Appreciate that. But yeah, I was like, all right, I'm coming to jerk off my friend.
Mm-hmm. And when you are doing
How often?
so, it actually says you need to do it routinely. Based on what I saw online, they said you need to do it at least once per year. So it sounds like you're doing it more regularly. Than
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Jason just wants to play with his cock.
I don't. I really don't. Whitney's like, you got to. And I'm like, I don't. And she's like, this is a part
It's
of
part of
owning
it.
a
Of course
horse.
it is. Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Okay, well, here's something. Then I'm just in time with this vital information.
Uh-oh.
During routine cleaning, you are looking for what is known as a bean. And if you find it, you need to remove it. What does that mean?
It's a dick clit.
Ew. I really hope I don't find one.
Is it schmegma? Is it just coursed up schmegma?
Yeah. A buildup
I
of
knew
schmegma can sometimes form a hard, waxy mass known as a bean in the horse's urethra.
Oh.
It will cause urinary problems if left untreated.
A bean.
Oh, you're going to look for beans.
Yeah, flick that bean.
That's the next Jackass skit. Steve-O, eat these beans. Rice and beans.
Okay, stop.
Oh, my God.
Is that it? Is that it? No, stop. Is that it?
Yeah, that can be it.
Okay, good. What's your podcast? Oh, God, that was a bad way to end. What's your podcast? Where can people see?
Mikey likes you. And I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing it anymore.
Well, you mentioned your Patreon.
Yeah, my Patreon is,
Okay.
and you just look for Mike Catherwood on my, and then at Mike Catherwood on all social medias, relevant social medias. And I've started to, they say don't hate the player, hate the game. I've started to rethink that differently. And I'm like, no, just learn to love the game because it's always going to change. And you're never going to stop playing.
Yeah.
So I've now kind of started getting into social media, like in a more formal sense. So at Mike Catherwood.
Yeah, because you're helping people, man. This is the thing I've noticed from this show not being as big because it's not on Sirius. Is there millions of people listening? No, but can I help one person? I really believe that. Every episode, I like the last episode I did where I talked about a lot of stuff where I got a really big response, and it's cool that it was a big response, but I for sure helped at least one person.
I was going to
that's
talk to you
like-
about that.
That's like this. Go ahead, because this is like the diet thing. Like I didn't mean to get into self-defense at the start, but the diet thing, because I like the information that you've given me. I know a lot of fit people, dude. I know a lot of athletes, all that stuff. When I worked out with you, you were the most. I lift weights with my boxing coach, and we do it pretty responsibly. And then learning how to like lift heavy because I wanted to get bigger, so I started doing it a little differently. But when I worked out with you, I was still high. So like if you weren't there, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like now I actually gather information and it stays in my head and I can go by myself and still get a good workout. But like there was times where you were like, this many reps, this weight. And I was like, man, you really know your stuff. And it really did. If I had kept it up, I could already tell it did change my body for that.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I will say it's the only thing in the world where I feel uniformly confident, even if I'm with world-class strength athletes, where I feel uniformly confident that I can say I'm expert in.
You are.
And that is because most people who are in the fitness game are either genetically gifted and they always had a great body, so now they can make money because it's like, hey, look at my abs. I'm not that guy. But also on top of that, I didn't get into it because I wanted to figure out a way to market it. It was absolutely vital to me. It helped save my life. When I got clean, it was something that I found. There's very few
passion, dude.
There's very few things in the world that are uniformly productive and meaningful and progressive and productive in that way. And it's like, I am struggling to lift this weight. It's 135 pounds. I'm deadlifting 130. I'm really struggling to get good form of that. And if I keep at it, I could do. And then 6 months later, I'm doing 225, and I'm like, I've done this.
Yeah.
I'm more resistant to outside force. I'm stronger. I'm more Mike. And like that was so addictive to me, and I became very, very interested, very geeky about it. So
yeah, you're that. And if anybody checks out his podcast or any of his stuff on Instagram, you want to learn, this is the guy.
Thank you.
I know a bunch of jerk offs. No offense to calling them jerk offs, but he really knows his stuff.
thank you, man.
And
Appreciate it.
makes it. And that's the thing. You lift, and then like I don't know, a couple weeks later, you lift, and you're like, wait a minute, I could probably put some more on this. And then you do, and you're like, because my coach and I, we lift together. And when we started, he's like 170. He could lift more than me.
Yeah.
And now I destroy him.
Yeah.
And he's like, son of a bitch. And I'm like, you started it, dude. Like, and it's because I go consistently. I do it in a way that's not ridiculous. I don't like put on stuff where I hurt myself. I just, if I feel like today's not the day to put more on because I haven't been every day, then I don't. And when I'm on it, it's the feeling I get. It's the same as when I spar at the gym and I can avoid people that are half my age, and I get in the car and I go, if I go to the gym and I lift where I'm like, dude, I did a bunch of reps at 270 where I was like, 270, Jason, like 270 a year ago, all your chest muscles would have popped out of your fucking rib cage and you'd be crippled. Yep. And now I do it and I get in my car and I go, it's my little pleasure. It's a little bit of confidence. It helps me with my day and how I operate around the world. It's a big help.
That's the biggest thing. And circling back to the F45 conversation, I'm not trashing that. Like I said, any exercise is better than no exercise. What I will say this is that one of the biggest things that all people, even higher level people, miss that I think is very important is fatigue management. It's not just about always going balls to the wall. I did 405 last time, 410 today. Fatigue management and understanding the difference between muscular fatigue, central nervous system fatigue. The deadlift is one of the king of all exercises. It's very beneficial in many ways. So, then I'll deadlift 3 times a week. No, you'll be sick because your central nervous system is going to fucking now. A machine exercise that maybe you could do that with a little bit more volume because it's not going to tax your central nervous system, but it's going to extra tax your muscles, your direct muscular tissue that you're trying to train. So there's understanding like it's not about getting as tired as possible. That's not. Now with skills, people confuse that. If you want to become a better boxer, you want to become a better architect, you want to become a better guitar player, do it as much as you possibly can. Just do more. If you're doing half hour a day playing guitar, do an hour. I bet you get better. Weight training and eliciting a specific stimulus to elicit a specific response. That's not how it works. It's not like chasing a skill. You have to understand when to be able to pull back and not.
Don't burn out.
Yeah.
What were you going to say about my last podcast?
What I was going to say was, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was very important. And I could tell that even talking about it and that point in your life is very, very painful. But I think, and not to get too heady, but it's like a King Arthur thing. I genuinely think, as someone who cares about you very much, I want you to have the best life you possibly can. I think it was like you had to have not only some negative stuff that you push you, but all of it happened like that. The Katie situation, the job, the different struggles, it all happened to the point that you were the man living in royalty, but next thing you know, now you're out on the street prostituting yourself and selling yourself. And that what that did was when you're getting out, when you're seeing yourself pull out of it, you're going to have a completely new, revitalized perspective that you never would have gotten if things would have remained comfortable. That would push you to become the Jason that we all know you can be.
God did it.
Yep.
God threw all that at me and was like, enough of this wasting your time. Get to what you're really supposed to be in your life before it ends. Because that's my biggest fear now is accomplishing and being who I really am. And it's like, well, how long do I get to be who I really am? God, are you going to take me now that I've done all the things that I'm now content and am a good person to be around? Like, it's, well, what you say you now. And I'm like, well, I now that I'm here, can I not like help people? No, don't take me. Like, that's my biggest fear. Cause I'm like, I could die happy cause I'm a good man. And I'm good to be around. I'm good to my kids. I have great advice for people. I've got a lot of experiences. I know so much on what not to do that I've rectified these things, and I actually have like theories and good advice for people because I can tell all the sick, we're all sick. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us are sicker than others, whatever. But the things that we get stuck in where I can be like, look, what you're doing, it's just going around and around. And you think like, if I just do this little bit, it's like, no, man, that needs to go. You need to cut that out. You don't see it because you're in the dark still. When you step back, and you can't step back and see it if you don't do the work. And when you step back, like now, I still get hit in the face with stuff daily where I go, oh, that's why I was doing that. And it's sad. You know, that's why yesterday I can get in touch with it because it's not that long ago where I'm like, dude, poor you, you know? But also, you're out. You see it now. So lucky you.
Lucky you.
So there's like, it's very emotional. Sometimes it's sad emotions, but most of the time these days, it's happy emotions. Like I get a little teary with joy because I'm out. And I'm like, I'm out here. I see you, dude. I haven't seen you for a long time, but like, you've always tried to help me.
Of course.
And I've always I've called in desperate times. I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm sinking over here, and you've tried to help, and you've got me out, and then I've gone back in, and you've never gone, fuck you, man. Like, I tried to help you, and you fucking turn around and do that again. Like, you never were mad at me. You've never been dark at me, and I've abused your help millions of times. You knew that it wasn't on purpose.
But I don't look at it as abusing the help. I look at it as like, at that point, you needed help, and if I could provide it, what an amazing sentiment that because I'm very useless in most aspects of life, and being useful in that regard is like, and the reason, like you said, I never looked at you like, oh fuck you didn't take my advice. Like, dude, you don't think I've been there?
Right.
You don't think I didn't have people bend over backwards, let me stay at their place and feed me food and keep beer away from me, and then 2 nights later, I'm in a fucking alleyway smoking.
Right, I know, right.
Well, and I've just come to see false starts are a part of the
deal.
It's the rare person that just commits to it, and it takes them the first try.
It's another great way in which martial arts and combat sports can be very applicable to real life. Because name me one, unless you're a freak. Name me one guy who got into jiu-jitsu or got into boxing and is like, yeah, I'm going to go every day for 50 years and I'm just going to keep getting better. No, there's weeks that go and you're like, I'm not going to train today. And then you just keep, the guys who do it is like, I remember Fabrizio Verdum said the one thing that all black belts have in common is that they didn't give up. And he's like, every other person that you train with, they did. Trust me.
It's the same rules with sobriety, man. Like, it's not going to just be like this smooth sailing thing from here on out. If anything, and the same with all MMA stuff, when you start, it's going to get hard. It's going to get demoralizing. You're going to feel weak and alone thousands of times. But if you keep going, there's this thing that happens that you're like, part of you is like, why didn't I do this sooner? You know, because you're like, I now see clearly where I'm supposed to be and what I'm doing in my life. And it's so hard to these days because it's just like, what about this? What about that? Don't forget this. You're late here. Fuck you, man. You were late. You're fired. Blah. There's all these things that happen where you just want to run for a second. Let me just run for a second and get a beer. Let me just get a fucking cheeseburger. Let me just come on somebody, or whatever you can do to get out of the, oh no, I've made a huge mistake. But if you sit with it, you find that the more I sit with my problems, the more I realize my problems are not as big as I thought they were. And now when things happen that aren't that great, dude, sometimes I tear up in a little bit of joy in the middle of a problem because I see me and the people that I'm around. Like, you're my friend. You always were my friend. Now that I'm not that guy, I'm not doing porn or any of these drugs. All those people disappeared in my life. You have always been there for me. If I ever needed your help, you'd be there in a second. And that's a real friend. And now I see these people that are my real friends for who they are. And I'm so much more thankful for having them, because then I think I took them for granted. Because I just thought, well, you know, she's hot. She's my friend, so that's cool. She was never your friend, dude. No offense to her. She's got her own problems that she's dealing with. I don't take it. I have no resentment towards any of those people anymore either, which has let me sort of be freer. But recently I was in a situation with my new girlfriend, who's also a girl that I would never be involved with because she's just a nice person.
Healthy person.
and that would never have linked with me, because I'd be like, that we don't add up. You don't deserve me. I'm going to ruin you. Subconsciously, I'd be like, trust me, you should probably run, you know? Yeah. But now I'm like, no, man, that works. But we were in a little bit of a pickle the other day where she was calm about it. I was calm about it. And it was a very unfortunate, unlucky circumstance where I was like, wow, this is a real dick in the ass right now. And she was like, what are we going to do? And I was like, yeah, what are we going to do? And then we walked down the freeway with all our bags in traffic while cars were almost running us over. And I was like, we're handling this. It's not that bad. And I know old me would have been like really flipping, like real. And then if you beat behind, I'd be like, fuck it. But instead I was like, I mean, I'm on the road. I get how you would see that that's not cool. But it was like a real, like, when we got to the airport, I was like, that wasn't so bad. And I'm like, dude, 2 years ago, you would have lost a year of your life on the stress capacity that you put on yourself because of this predicament.
Well, and what external things would you have turned to try to regulate those feelings?
Oh, yeah. Like as soon as I got off the plane, what I would have done. Yeah. Oh, no. When I got on the plane,
either way, like what drugs, what Tinder, what, you know what I'm saying? Like what external
No, because those are all the ones they're my comfort blankets of old, where I just know that one of those ones, whichever one I can get a hold of first, that's gonna make it okay.
I hate people who get clean and then go around telling everybody else how to live their life, and that people are I'm very guarded about being that guy. But what I will say is that I think that most people are okay with this. I think like if you're a grown man, grown woman, you work hard, you deal with a family, crack a couple beers, couple glasses of wine, you deserve that, and you should. But when you turn to external things, whether it be drugs, whether it be alcohol, whether it be sex, whether it be staring at your phone, whether it be video games, when you're looking at those things to help make things better, when you're turning to them to regulate, that's when it goes south, man. Because Lord knows that's what I did. When I started using drugs and drinking, it was very pedestrian. I was just like a high school kid. You break into mom and dad's liquor cabinet, you start smoking a little weed on the weekends. And that was fun, and that was fine. Very quickly, it became, how can I manage getting through the day? And it became substances. And that's dangerous, because the only way you're going to manage getting through the day in any capacity, and to do it well, is to look inside. It's not outside.
Yeah.
Well, and Jankum. If there's any kids listening, you should totally do Jankum.
Definitely sniff a bag of shit if you get a chance.
It's
Great advice, Michael. Glad you got that in
useful. It's
there.
absolutely useful.
Right. We're all else fails shit in a plastic bag.
Jankum reference in 2025.
I think it's ready for a comeback.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like acid came back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Kids, check it out. Google it.
Where did Quaaludes go?
Yeah, your parents aren't going to talk to you about Jankum. Got to learn about it on the streets.
You haven't been on the streets if you haven't talked on some Jankum. Holy shit.
Great name, too. Great branding.
Just catchy stuff, yeah. All right. Thanks for being on the show, everybody. Canada, thejasonellis.com for tour dates. I'm coming to see you. And, mate, Australia. I'm coming there, too.
Mate.
See you next week. Don't die.
Going back to Levelland.
Yeah, right. So crazy. I know.